All right, welcome back. Hononegah Honors Algebra 2, Section 13.1b or 13.1 Day 2, graphing parabolas. Now what's going to happen is the parabolas are no longer going to go up and down. The parabolas are now going to start going left and right. So you'll notice that the formula right away kind of looks the same, except they switched around the x and the y. So it's an x equals parabola instead of a y equals parabola. And so everything is a little backwards. So notice it's still HK, but the H and the K are in different locations. This is the Y value of the vertex, and this is the X value of the vertex. So you're still going to have an H and a K, but everything is backwards of where it's located. And how I try to remember that is the letter that's in the parenthesis is the letter for that particular parabola. So if it's a y equals parabola, the x is in the parenthesis, and therefore that is the x of the vertex. And so if the y is in the parenthesis, then that is the y of the vertex. And now the axis of symmetry goes the opposite direction now. It's a y equals k axis of symmetry. So you're talking about a parabola that goes this way, and the axis of symmetry goes across through the parabola. So it's a y equals axis of symmetry. Direction of opening, if it's positive, it goes to the right. If the a value is negative, it goes to the left. You're still dealing with p. P is the exact same formula, so that hasn't changed. But your coordinates of the vertex now, you're going to go left and right. So you're going to go right P or left P when putting your focus. You're going to go up P or down P when drawing your line of your directrix. And the length of the lattice rectum is still the same. It's always 4P. So that hasn't changed. So let's do some examples here and see how we do. And right away, we're going to have one in which we have to complete the square. So complete the square with the y values now. So I'm going to add 1 squared to both sides, and that will complete my square with y. Subtract 1. So now there's 3 questions I can answer just by looking at the equation. Those are the vertex, the axis of symmetry, and the direction. So let's do that. -3 is on the outside, -1 on the inside. Notice the y value is -1, and the x value is outside the parentheses is -3. Axis of symmetry, another way of thinking about it, it's always the one that's in the parentheses. So the axis of symmetry is a y equals -1. And the direction, because the a value is positive, would be going to the right. So I'm going to graph this. And this will seem a little different for some people, but the vertex is at -3, -1. Now, instead of going left and right 1, I'm going to go up and down 1, and it's still 1a. That hasn't changed. So up and down 1, 1a. Up and down 2, 4a. So that part hasn't changed, and if you went 3, it would be 9a. And again, I sometimes do that if there's room on the graph for me to go 1 extra 1 because it makes the picture look a little nicer. Focus, directrix, and length of lattice rectum. In order to answer all those questions, you need P. P is always 1 over 4a. So in this case, 1 over 4 times 1. Focus, I go from the vertex to the right. From the vertex to the right a fourth. So that's -2 3/4, -1. So if I went to the right a fourth, and then if I went to the left a fourth and drew a line, you're talking about an x equals line at -3 1/4. The length of the lattice rectum is always 4p, and so the length of the lattice rectum is 1. Complete the square. And I would hit pause right now. All right, welcome back. Here we go. Complete the square. So half of 8 would be 4 squared, added to the other side as well. That will complete the square with the y's. And when I subtract 16, I get a -27. for our purposes right now, I believe this is a mistake here. Let's make this a plus 11. So on your note sheet, if it's not that, let's go ahead and make that a plus 11 just so that the vertex comes back onto the graph a little bit better. So I apologize for that. Vertex. -5 for the x, +4 for the y, which makes the axis of symmetry for this left and right parabola a y equals 4. And the direction, again, is to the right because you have a positive a value. I'm going to graph it. So -5, +4, up and down 1 goes 1a, 4a if I go 2 places, 9a if I go 3 places away from the vertex. And again, I usually try to do that. 16a would have been the next one. It just goes slightly off the graph. 3 more questions that I have to answer. What is the focus? What is the directrix? And what is the length of the lattice rectum? On the test, you'll have all 6 blanks there. It won't be a situation that you'll have to memorize which questions you have to answer. If I went P, which is 1 over 4a, so if I went P to the right and made a point, you're talking about -4 3/4, 4. If I went P to the left and drew a vertical line, so drew a line up and down, you're talking about -5 1/4. And the length of the lattice rectum is always 4p. All right, so we need to complete the square, and it has an a value. So I need to take the a value, so you're taking out the common factor here, so I'm taking out the a value of both. So I'm dividing out a -4, completing the square with the y value, so I'm going to take half of b, always add, always square, and then on the other side, though, you have to times it by a when putting it on the other side. So we're talking about a -4. Writing this now in vertex form, so I have -4, y minus 1 quantity squared inside the parenthesis, and I add 4 outside the parenthesis. 3 questions that I should be able to answer just by looking at the equation is the vertex, 4 outside, or 4 for the x, 1 for the y. The axis of symmetry is always I always like to look at it as the one being squared, or the one in the parentheses. So we're talking about left and right parabola. So you got an axis of symmetry that goes left and right, so our y equals 1. And so the direction actually this time is to the left because they have a negative a value. Going over to the graph now, +4, +1. Remember that if you go 1 away from the vertex, it's always 1a. If you go 2 away from the vertex, it's always 4a. So that's 16. So it goes off the graph pretty quickly there. And so that is your parabola. Now for the 4 questions, or the 3 questions that you need P for, you need the focus, directrix, and length of lattice rectum. P is 1 over 4a, and remember it's the absolute value of that, so the P is 1/16. So now, if I go 1/16 to the left, so from 4, 1, and I go 1/16 to the left, you're talking about 3 and 15/16, 1. And if I go to the right 1/16 and draw a vertical line, we're talking about 4 and 1/16. And the length of the lattice rectum is always 4 times P. So the length of the lattice rectum is 1/4. Homework assignment is 13.1 Part 2. If you have any questions, please make sure you talk to your teacher about left and right parabolas. And so now we've done up and down, left and right. So we do have a little bit more. We have a 13.1 Part 3. So we have a day 3 that we'll have to deal with. But we have now done parabolas at each of the directions. So again, if you have any questions, please make sure you talk to your teacher, and good luck.